The series of security conferences during the week of BlackHat and DEF CON is what we colloquially refer to as Hacker Summer Camp. This includes three main conferences. You've got
Welcome to Cybersecurity Growth, a show for aspiring and existing cybersecurity leaders. I'm Sean Valley.
And I am Garrett Gross. Welcome.
There we go. Hey, Garrett, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Sean. Good to see your face.
You as well. Obviously, I'm not in the regular studio. I mean, I did.
Where are you?
I am in the mobile. This is what we call the mobile studio, and maybe I will add up above, like right there, a little screenshot of what the mobile studio looks like. I'm away from the primary studio, but when I was packing up to leave, I actually said, okay, I need to bring the studio with me so we can keep doing the show every other Friday, and we wink have been doing the show every other Friday, right, Garrett? We have not taken a break since like July or
definitely. Well, I mean, case in point, the topic of today's show is the Hacker Summer Camp 2025 recap. We're only a couple months late. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. But when I packed up I was like, all right, how do I pack up the studio and make it mobile? I grabbed out basically a carry-on suitcase and stuffed it with nearly everything. So again, I'll put the picture up there, but there's some bright white studio lighting right here, small, but they get the job done. You can see, as I always try to have a little bit of backlighting there. I brought some backlighting, brought the priorities with me. But one of the things I didn't remember or didn't realize, and Garrett and I were talking before we went live, was I didn't bring enough sound dampening because the room I'm in, I thought was sound dampened, but it's the most dampened room I could find where I'm at, but not so much.
Very, very loud, but it's all right. Sounds fine.
Yeah, it gets the job done. But anyways, I am remote. I've been remote for several weeks. I'll be going back and forth from home studio to remote studio, but I only have one studio set up, so I don't think I'm going to pack everything up and bring it back and forth. So this was just a little bit of a test.
We'll experiment. Yeah, no worries.
Today's agenda is called Hacker Summer Camp 2025 Recap. So I'm excited to get into this. Yes, Hacker Summer Camp, I think summer. If I'm looking at my watch, we were recording this on October 3rd. Based off of how I understand how the summer works in the United States. Might be a little different in Australia, but in the United States,
it's fine.
Summer may have already passed. So again, we're doing a recap, which makes sense. It's a recap.
That's right.
Before we get into it, Garrett, curious to learn, because you get some colors on there. Who you wearing today?
Well, Sean, for the first time in, I don't know, ever, I'm not wearing a shirt from a hoodie or whatever from a security vendor. I'm actually wearing the shirt that I wore one of the days at DEF CON to attract attention to myself. We'll get into why I did that and what the meaning was behind that here in a minute. But I'll flip the mic and camera around to you, and I'll ask you, who are you wearing, Sean?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I am wearing the official Cybersecurity Growth CISO shirt today. So it is an Adidas polo, and it says CISO right over here. Hold on, let me move the microphone out of the way a little bit here so you can see that it says CISO. And those who are longtime listeners and watchers know that our CISO shirt has the acronym spelt out. Career is soon over. And so this is the official Cybersecurity Growth CISO shirt, and you can get it in the merch store if you really want one.
And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, just please be aware, Sean is a CISO and is extremely self-flagellating, which is why he created a shirt for himself named Career is Soon Over. It's like you're in the Opus Dei sect or something. Like you just torture yourself. I love it because I can't even spell GRC. So like, what do I know?
You were really close right there. You almost got it spelled.
Very close.
With your attire, I know you have a photo from your time at DEF CON. Maybe when we get to it, we'll
put that up on the screen.
A little visual over there as well. Yeah. So anyway, a little word from our sponsor. The Cybersecurity Growth platform is now live and available for you with access to our education series of self-paced courses, templates to help you quickly build a robust security program, and a community of some of the top global cybersecurity leaders. Are you a cybersecurity professional or aspiring leader? our unique courses, the first 100 days of a CISO, deep dives into security frameworks, and even novel industry-specific courses like cybersecurity for music professionals are tailored specifically for immediate results. Coming soon, we have a course called Cloud Security 101. We have plans for every budget with free trials. Hey, ask your manager if you can use your company's training budget to pay for a subscription. Plus, every course completed or live event attended, like these right here, these count towards CPEs for your professional certifications, like your CISSP. Join the community of more than 24 cyber pros and some of the industry's renowned cybersecurity leaders by trying one of our plans today. Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com.
Excellent read there, Sean. Perfect.
So we're getting right into the hot topic today. Hacker Summer Camp 2025. I'll set the scene because we've talked about this in previous episodes, and we're going to get into those details that we covered before, but do it all in one packed show here today. I didn't attend this year, unfortunately, and there was a multitude of reasons why. Primarily, I didn't buy tickets or get flights or book a hotel.
Primarily, Sean planned his family vacation during the week of Hacker Summer Camp.
I planned on being on the beaches of Cape Cod during Hacker Summer Camp, and I did that. I did just that. I spent time on the beaches of Cape Cod during Hacker Summer Camp. And this all goes all the way back to January, the beginning of the year, when I was making summer plans, and I forgot about late July, early August. So
yep. Well, now you know, because you have no excuse not to be there next year.
No, it'll be there, and I'll be repping my CISO shirt hopefully next year as well. So Garrett, tell us a little bit about Hacker Summer Camp, and then the most I can help with is talk about things I saw online or go a little bit about the history of it.
Yeah, sure. So Hacker Summer Camp, if you're not aware, is what we colloquially refer to, the series of security conferences during the week of BlackHat and DEF CON is what we colloquially refer to as Hacker Summer Camp. This includes three main conferences. You've got BSides Las Vegas, which if you're not familiar with BSides, you have BSides all over the world. Each kind of area has a yearly conference.
I'll make a quick comment on that. BSides Cayman Islands occurred just a couple weeks ago. I have two industry friends who spoke at that, so it was very cool. I wasn't there, but I got to watch it on YouTube, and very cool to see like industry friends say, hey, I'm going to go to Cayman Islands to speak at a BSides. BSides Cambridge, Massachusetts takes place tomorrow. Yeah. So they're all over the place. BSides San Francisco, I forget when it was, but not too long ago.
It's around RSA.
Yeah, I had friends who were there as well. So BSides Las Vegas, one of the many BSides. They're everywhere. So anyways, back to Garrett.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you went into that because I highly encourage folks, if you want to go to your first conference, go to a B-side security conference in your area. It is tailored for folks that are new to the industry, but still you're going to have industry heavies. Like a bunch of our friends showed up to B-Sides Las Vegas, like HD Moore, I believe, was there. Todd Beardsley was there. So like big names in security are speaking, but it's more of a newbie friendly environment. This year they had the pros versus Joes capture the flag competition, which, as I don't know if newer listeners may not know, but I got the pleasure of participating in one of those in the past. And what that is a capture the flag is normally just you're on your own to go find these flags in a system or some sort of scavenger hunt type scenario, or you could have teams or things of that nature. But again, you're on your own. Pros versus Joes is different in that you have Joes, which are average, ordinary folks in security, maybe new to security, maybe don't have a lot of experience with offensive security or blue teaming or capture the flags. And then you are not paired with, but each Joe's team is going to have a pro, someone who has tons of experience in the industry, who has done capture the flags before, and you get to mentor kind of a student type scenario while doing a capture the flag. And like I said, I got to do it. It was a ton of fun. I made some lifelong friends, and a good buddy of mine is still deep in the pros versus Joes community. So again, If you go to BSides Las Vegas, actually they had one at BSides New York City this year as well, pros versus Joes. So be on the lookout for stuff like that.
That's really cool. It's funny as you say it, and there's this crazy set of imposter syndrome that comes in as you said, pros versus Joes. I'm like, I think I might be a Joe. The weird imposter syndrome comes in because there are amazing people in our industry who are brilliant and always forward thinking, and those many who I look up to, and I say, wow, those are the pros. I'm a Joe. I'd love to be a part of that team.
Well, I mean, Sean, have you ever done a capture the flag event? Have you ever participated?
I have.
Oh, nah, then yeah, you'd probably be a pro. You'd get in there and be able to mentor some students.
Yeah, fun.
But yeah, imposter syndrome definitely creeps in, especially when you're on the blue team and the red team, which is, offensive for everyone. There's only one red team. When they start actually ratcheting up the pressure, everyone feels like a Joe very quickly. You're like, well, I had no idea you could reset the scoreboard or, inject 400 of the same user into the gal or, things of that nature. So it was a very fun experience. We could do an entire show on CTFs, I bet. But I will progress.
I will add that to our list of shows that for our backlog.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, just talking about CTFs because again, the CTF is a great way to get people excited about security. It's a great way to learn about security. It's a great way to teach security. I love capture the flags. I built several. It's one of my favorite things. Okay, so at BSides, I didn't go to BSides this year. I normally do, but I didn't. But I did hear about a great talk from Matt Salmier called The Weakest Link, and it was a really cool talk about how compliance is not security. So again, to my joke earlier, I can barely spell GRC. I mean, it's true. Like, I don't have experience writing compliance policy or, orchestrating an audit. I've been on the business end of several audits, but I am not the compliance person.
Where someone yells at you and says, get me this evidence now.
Exactly. I need this yesterday. So this is a cool talk about how, passing audits like PCI and GDPR doesn't really guarantee real protection against attackers. It's a great, wake up call for folks that are just ticking the box in compliance and burying their head in the sand. What they did is they set up two fake companies. You had YOLO Corp, which was audit compliant, but they got 80% of their passwords cracked during this simulation. Then you had CoolSec, who, to your point earlier, had adopted NIST 800-63B, which makes you enforce 15-character passphrases. Less than 1% of their passwords were cracked. So it was just a nice case study on if you just frequently rotate your passwords, you stand a huge chance of thwarting any kind of password cracking. But, if you're just checking the box and not actually adhering to these direct practices that will, keep you safer, you're just, like I said, burying your head in the sand, and your chances of getting cracked or hacked are pretty huge here.
Having a talk like that, I think all of us practitioners often say compliance isn't security, security isn't compliance. Nice to have a talk like that, but kind of tying it together of obviously there's extreme value for both, right? They are both valuable. So good to have a talk that's kind of getting into the details of that.
Yeah, so you should build password policies to resist adversaries, not just satisfy whatever, compliance, even if it's internal compliance that you're trying to satisfy. Yeah. You should try to actually thwart against real world attacks, which again is what makes capture the flags or penetration tests just, real world simulation of what we actually work against every day. It's what makes it even more important.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next big conference in Hacker Summer Camp is the BlackHat USA conference. Sean, you want to give us a little background on what BlackHat is?
So BlackHat is it 25 years old? Somewhere around there. It is. It is basically the business event of the hacker events, right? It is a massive conference where folks can take paid training courses at the beginning of the week, multiple $1,000 training courses led by some of the industry experts in the field. So that's amazing. The primary reason for BlackHat is the actual conference itself, where there are usually 7 to 8 tracks of talks at that you can go to basically in a 2-day period. So the challenge is you have 7 different tracks to go to, all delivering a talk at the same time. Each one is in a ballroom that holds 500 to 2,000 people, right? It's enormous.
Big talks.
And so that's going on for 2 days straight. So just try to get as much listening and watching and learning and taking notes of some of the latest and greatest hacks. Some of the greatest hacks that you've heard about in the last 20 years have been released initially during BlackHat talks, right? Back when phone hacking was like one of the big things. Like those hacks were basically announced during BlackHat. When car hacking really started to take off, the car hacks were announced at BlackHat, and those vulnerabilities were basically mentioned for the first time ever live at BlackHat. And then those who had to go protect, cars from being hacked, had to quickly go and resolve those. So there's these 2 days of talks, and then there's this massive business hall, and that's where every security vendor on Earth spends some money to have a booth and hopes to get the buyers walking around, learning about the products. And over the years, this business hall started as one hall, like the big ballroom of the conference center. And then it said, oh, it's getting too big. And it spilled out of the ballroom into the side hallway. And then that got too big. And it said, well, we need the other ballroom across the hall. And it just kept growing and growing and growing because now it's thousands of vendors. For me, years of going to BlackHat, the thing that really jumps out to me, on top of all the things I just mentioned, all the things I mentioned are fantastic. I love everything about them. But the biggest thing is seeing my colleagues, seeing my friends, those who I haven't seen since last year, those who I may talk to on Slack or Discord or on phone calls or on Zoom, seeing those people in person, having some conversations, sitting down, having a coffee, having a lunch with somebody, and catching up with industry friends.
See, you can tell that BlackHat is the conference that gets Sean excited because it's framed in risk. It's framed in business context. Like Sean led with, this is the business side of security as represented. And it's interesting because you would think that a lot of the big vulnerability disclosures would happen at DEF CON because that is the true hacker conference, but it's not true. Those announcements actually get magnified at something like BlackHat because you have a much better media coverage. DEF CON is definitely friendly to media, but the tone is kind of like, don't take pictures of me. BlackHat is exactly the opposite. So yeah, exactly what Sean said. It's a reaction to the business of security and kind of a safe space for that. Initially, it was so that the vendors could, exhibit because they couldn't exhibit at DEF CON. But as we'll talk about here in a second, there's now a whole vendor section at DEF CON. What I found interesting about BlackHat is that AI, well, I wasn't surprised, but AI was everywhere. Every talk, every advertisement, every vendor had something about AI. If it wasn't, security for your AI, like, we're detecting prompt injection and deep fakes and stuff. It was, hey, you remember that security product that we have? Well, it now has AI and it's so much better. And I know I sound like I'm like the old man in the yard shaking his fist. It's true. It's what I am, the old man in the yard shaking his fist. But AI is definitely here to stay. It is a part of our security lexicon. I don't think it's the panacea for everything that's going to solve all security challenges, but ask anyone who spent any time, on an alerts page or working in a SIM, writing, threat intelligence and correlation. AI will absolutely it already is accelerating that process and allowing us to do things that we couldn't do, without teams of 20 people in the past.
I don't think anyone, you, me, anyone listening, watching, should be surprised to hear that AI was everywhere because in our work, in our lives, personal lives, work lives, AI is everywhere now, right? It is everywhere. So if you were to say the opposite, where, there was some AI here, some AI there, that would probably have surprised me more.
That would have surprised me, yeah.
So hearing AI is everywhere, it to me, this was the year that AI needed to be everywhere. Yeah. I'm curious to see, a year from now, is it still the same thing? Is still AI the everywhere, or is it just, part of everything? Because if we go back 10 years ago, cloud, right? Public cloud started to pop up, AWS, Azure, GCP, right? And that 10 years ago, about 2014, 2015, the story was like, hey, we're moving our solution into the cloud. right? That was everywhere. Now
Well,
it's just part of everything. Like
that's
everything's
right. Well,
everything's cloud, everything's SaaS.
what you're describing it perfectly is the Gartner hype cycle. It's the, you get all this hype at the beginning. I forget what that part is called, but then you have my favorite, which is the trough of disillusionment, which is where all the promises that technology made, it's not, fulfilling. And then you get to be where exactly what you're talking about, like where the cloud is. Like we don't really refer to the cloud as this revolutionary thing. It's just more of a alternative infrastructure. And really even today, if you don't have cloud infrastructure, it's like, what are you doing? So I bet we'll get to that point where AI is just like, oh yeah, it's part of that solution and it's a thing that you can use. And if you're not using it, you're probably left behind, but it's not the savior of everything.
Yeah. The you mentioned the Gartner hype cycle in our Cloud Security 101 course that's launching in a couple weeks on the Cybersecurity Growth platform. I actually go through the Gartner hype cycle for cloud security, and I talk about all the different paths and all the different solutions that are
Well,
part of it.
I've got a word that's going to shake you to the core related to the Gartner hype cycle: e-commerce.
Okay. Okay.
When's the last time you heard that phrase?
Well, it's funny. There was a time when
E-commerce.
I was taking a degree program, a university degree program, and the concentration was e-commerce, and then
Again,
it went
again,
away.
that's not even a word that you say anymore. It's just like it's shopping.
Right. It's shopping. Right. It's
Are you
shopping.
are you gonna go online or are you gonna go in the store? Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Let's get back to the program. There was an alleged record 20,000 attendees at BlackHat, which was shocking to me because it felt a lot smaller than previous years. The business hall was definitely a lot smaller. I think they probably had just a smaller amount of vendors sign up.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Sure.
There are two gigantic security conferences. BlackHat, and I mean the business focused ones.
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
Hat being one, RSA, which is in San Francisco, being the other. And you and I went to RSA earlier. You went to Black Hat this year.
Yep.
Both of those are where all the vendors show up. Those are the two big ones. There's plenty
Yes.
others that are big, but those are the two enormous ones.
Yes.
I did talk to a couple vendors this year who went to RSA but didn't go to Black Hat. I thought
Right.
that was interesting. And just to hear anybody say we're spending our advertising dollars at RSA, period, and just stopping there, I just get
Yeah.
shocked because I would have thought you're at RSA and you're at Black Hat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't have any theories on that. I'm not an expert as to why businesses spend money on field marketing or not. I just found it pretty interesting. But I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of the normal BS of the vendor hall, if we're being completely honest. I mean, how many times and you and I have actually experienced this together, but I'll say it anyway. How many times have you gone by a booth, been like, wow, that seems really cool? You sit down through some milquetoast theater presentation that's just a bunch of marketing BS, and then you ask them for more information. They're like, "Oh, sorry, our head technical person, they're, doing a media talk or they're at lunch. Can you swing by later?" And it's like, why don't you have them here in the booth to talk to people?
Yeah.
The whole vendor experience is kind of silly to me. I think I'm probably jaded because I had to work in those booths for many years, being that technical resource that was everywhere and nowhere all at once. So it was kind of interesting. I do want to call out though, one of my friends, actually one of our friends, folks at RunZero, got HD Moore, Todd Beardsley, Julie Albright, another friend of mine. They had a booth outside the vendor hall this year, which was very interesting. Like on the way to the conference center, their booth was set up. If you know Mandalay Bay, right outside like that sushi restaurant, and there's the steak
Oh, so they
restaurant.
were in the
And
hallway, just like the walkway that everybody has to walk by to go by the
yes,
Starbucks and all the different restaurants on the way into the
exactly
food
correct.
court and then into
Yes.
the conference center. Okay.
What's funny is that Google had taken over that restaurant. I don't know what it's called now. It's had like 7 names, with the Wine Tower
Yeah,
restaurant.
it's
They took
closed every other year, right?
It's
It's got
closed
the
every
wine
other
tower.
year.
It's got like some bicycles that are on
They
display. Yeah.
they reinvent it every year. So Google, I guess, rented that place, and then RunZero set up right out front of that, and they didn't like that, so they booked RunZero's spot out from under them. Don't be evil, Google, but
Wow.
they were definitely evil. Like, oh, I want that. The reason I'm calling RunZero out for their booth though is they held a capture the flag in their booth. Their booth had clues. Their product documentation had clues. I wish I had it out. They had a special challenge coin that was like a decoder ring. They really went all in on like understanding what the right message is, understanding how to appeal to security people, having good swag. They had flippin' socks, which is number one on my list of good swag, and they had fingernail polish of their brand colors.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
I have nothing against any men who wear fingernail polish. I think it's beautiful. I don't wear fingernail polish, but you know who does? My wife and daughter. So they were very thrilled. They're like, "Oh, you can go back there anytime. Just bring us back some nail polish, and we'll be good." So, really nice to see that, and really just in the face of all the tone deaf vendors and advertising, RunZero just really like showed me. I mean, they're all hackers. It's no surprise. They're all hackers.
Yeah,
So
there's something
they get
about
it.
going to a vendor booth and having a magician there doing like cool card tricks. And you're like, okay, if I'm here for a show, which of Las Vegas is a show,
Yeah,
some of these booths are fun, but why am I really here? Like, I should be here to learn about the latest and greatest
right.
security tech and
That's right.
security solutions
That's right.
to help either me in my career or help my company, solve some problems. So,
Hmm.
being able to have a technologist conversation with another technologist is really the ultimate goal.
Yes.
And there are
Yes.
many booths who have these really cool magicians, take $1, turn it into a 50 type of things, giving away
Yeah.
a Nintendo Switch 2, like stuff like that. But what's the ultimate goal? Like we're all trying to learn more. We're trying to
Right.
become more experts in our field. We're trying to get connected with other industry experts. And so hearing those vendors who are really putting the time into saying, how do we truly help the practitioner versus many vendors who say, what's our count of leads that, count
Right.
of badges scanned,
How
right?
many lightsabers did we hand out today? Now, I will say book signings of security books, I'm all about that. Bring the author in. I mean, Kevin would do that many
Hmm.
times over his several books. The guy who wrote the Cult of the Dead Cow book, he was at RSA this year. Very, very cool. I love book signings. So again, I hear you. Magicians kind of lame. I mean, they're fun. Like I love
Don't
magic.
get me wrong. I've stopped at several magician
I
booths and
love
watched the
magic.
show. Don't get me
But
wrong. I've done it.
to your point, I'm sitting there going, why am I here? Like, shouldn't I be learning about blah blah blah? So yeah. All right, moving on. One of my favorite things to do at Black Hat is crash parties. It's my favorite thing. I'm so good at it, and it's not surreptitious. Like I'm there actually learning about these solutions so I can talk about them on our podcast. I can talk about them to our clients. So I'm there for a legitimate cause, but I absolutely try to get into the biggest and best parties while I'm there. And I'll give you a highlight of a couple of those. So one funny one is usually when you do like a breakfast or like a lunch and learn, it's 100 people. You're in one of those banquet areas. Everyone's got tables set up and there's a speaker at the front. They do their thing. You get to learn some cool stuff while having a nice free breakfast. Well, I signed up for that one this year, and it should have been tipped off when I looked at it, and it was at a very fancy hotel in a suite. And I'm like, am I going to get my kidneys harvested again? Like, what is this?
Again.
But I walk up there, and I swear it was like that scene in the movie where the needle scratches across the record. It's
Mhm.
like because there were four people in this suite when I showed up.
Yeah. Is that good or is that scary? Right. I don't know.
It was kind of scary at first, but then a couple people trickled in. And what ended up happening, Sean, is I had an in-depth, intimate discussion on the real dangers of AI with Allison Miller, who's a big name in like banking fraud. And if you know Malware Jake or Jake Williams, huge, also a big fraud guy, but also just a huge name in the security industry, got to have a really nice collaborative discussion with two huge names in security and actually learned quite a bit. So that was really cool. I really
Nice.
enjoyed that.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
VulnCheck, I want to call out VulnCheck because, like RunZero, they're really listening to what people want in a hacker party or a security party. It was off strip, which is key,
Hmm.
and they provided transportation. I think I think if you're a VIP, you had transportation. But anyway, we're out there for business. Expense your Uber. It was off strip.
Right, right.
The food was phenomenal. Like and not fancy. It was little handhelds, which is key because I mean we need to eat. In fact, at one point, I think the service staff were like instructed each other to like stop giving tacos to the man in the banana shirt. Like he's gonna eat all of our tacos.
You need
But
to
it
switch over
was
from tacos to water at this point,
that
sir.
that yes, sir, you've had too many. But more importantly, it was not a it was a low. In fact, I think they were playing like classic rock or something, like yacht rock, which is my favorite. But it was low volume. You could have conversations. Everyone was very friendly. Everyone's walking around making sure they had a good time. And I knew several people at this company, but even then, they were coming by saying, "Hey, Garrett, how's it going? Can we get you anything?" So really cool again to see that vendors are paying attention. Some vendors are paying attention and actually creating worthwhile events because I had some great security conversations at that party. Whereas the alternative would be I'd have earplugs in fighting to get my vodka Red Bull or whatever to
Right.
get back on the dance floor, which again that's fun too, but not what I'm into.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
anyway,
we've worked with at companies that have rented the big dance places to put on
yes,
the biggest parties. And I remember
yes
before
we
I
did.
worked at a certain company that is in the security space that I used to hear well before I was there, like, hey, this company puts on the best parties at BlackHat.
Yes.
And then when I got to attend one prior to being an employee, then when I got to attend one or two as an employee, I would agree. These are incredible parties. But
Incredible.
again, going back to the magician story, like I said before, like, hey, I'll stop and watch a magician, but why am I really
Why am I
here?
there?
Right?
Why am I there?
I'm really here to again, grow, learn, experience new things, meet other industry folks
Yep.
and get to know them so we can be able to support one another. Those parties, the parties, right? Those are not the ones that really are going to help, further
No,
that.
no, and they're fun. And again, if that's your thing, I'm not trying to be
Nope.
negative, not at all. Like go do your thing. It's just nice to see that there's an alternative to that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Not everyone drinks. I enjoy a couple drinks. I don't enjoy 20, but some people don't enjoy any. So it's just nice to see something like that. Another one I want to call out is one that I actually can't tell you about, but I will say that it is a super secret exclusive party that was fantastic, put on by a very large vendor. But again, they're listening to you. It's low volume, it's great food. They stock this place with the smartest people at their company, and they all have, like, I don't want to give it away, but they have a way that you can identify that they are who they are. And so you go up to them and you go, "Hey, what are you working on at Redacted Company?" And they just spilled beans, and it's kind of like a Chatham House Rules. Like you learn stuff that you probably wouldn't be privy to anywhere else. They have fake poker. I'm sorry, blackjack. They had fake blackjack where you're playing with funny money. Oh, it's amazing. I was on a
Fun.
roll.
That's
I
fun.
made so much not money there. It was great.
But it's places where the volume is a little bit low, right? The music
Yes.
is a little bit
Yes.
low, so you can have a conversation, you can talk, shop, and then also have some fun together.
That's right.
There's something great about that combination. Obviously, I didn't go this year, but I think about last year, there was basically a CISO recruiting company that hosted something in one of the small kind of speakeasy type places, and
That's
it
the
was
way
a
to do it.
small intimate room. Only maybe I'd say 4 or 5 dozen people could fit into this room. Maybe it was a little bit bigger than that,
It's
but
perfect though.
and the amount of one-on-one conversations from people who I had already known and hadn't talked to in a while, and then other folks who I had heard of and I saw in passing, and I said, "Hey, let's talk for 5 minutes," and then exchange information, get connected on LinkedIn, and we'll keep following up. To me,
Because
that was my best conversation of last year's Black Hat. Was in this small little speakeasy with a couple dozen security folks, and I made my way around the room saying hi to about 5 or 10 people there, getting to know them and sharing info.
well, it needs to not be lost on people that one of the main reasons we're there is to network. Like we're not, I'm not there to party or to like go, have a vacation, but I am there to meet peers in the industry because that's how we survive in our industry. That's how we learn about new things. That's how, if we need help with something, we can call someone. Oh, I know you're an expert on, Bluetooth or something like that. And you kind of make those networks. And again, that's what makes our industry more and more robust. What's what makes us safer because we can call on each other for help and stuff like that. So again, I don't want to dwell too much on here's how much I partied at
yeah,
BlackHat, but I do believe that those parties are a very important part of our ecosystem.
yeah, it's good.
Last one, DEF CON, the big one. So stark contrast to Black Hat. Sure, there was some AI stuff there. In fact, DARPA had their big, AI challenge we'll talk about in a second, but all threat vectors are represented equally at DEF CON. I mean, you've got your packet hacking village, which is, wired network traversal. You've got the wireless village, where they are still coming out with new vulnerabilities and exploits for those vulns, for those, attack vectors, which is nice to see because one of the things that I really railed on, I wrote this, I almost call it a scathing blog because I mean, that who reads it anyway, but I wrote this blog on how I think that's a conference like Black Hat, which just so heavily indexes on the hype, is actually doing the real security landscape a disservice because we're not highlighting all the threat vectors that we still have out there. No one really talks about social engineering. No one really talks about wireless attacks. No one really talks about, I don't know, IoT and ICS stuff. But that is still very much like actively exploited out in the wild. So anyway, DEF CON, nice to see a real representation of what's actually out there.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the way you described DEF CON. You didn't say AI was everything. Obviously, AI is going to be in everywhere, but
It was not.
it is one of if we're all spending all of our time on AI, what about everything else? Are we forgetting everything else because our businesses are so focused on what's our AI security policy, what's our AI security strategy? How are we speeding up the business
That's right.
outcomes with AI, right? And as you
Well,
mentioned, IoT and endpoint security and threats that are coming in via identity, like all of these other things
mhm.
still exist and will still continue to come after us.
Well, because like if you think about it this way, um, a you know, and this is a piece of the environment I have zero insight into. I'm just kind of riffing at this point. But like driving the business of security is also an important thing, and all of that hype gets you investments and gets you more money poured into research to where if you and I'm making these stats up, but like let's say you fund 100 AI companies and 10 of them actually take off and start to push the envelope, that's probably a win for our industry, but that requires that you funded 100 of those companies, and that is driven by the hype cycle. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the way the world, again, I don't know anything about money, ask my wife, but like that is the kind of stuff that we probably like I don't want to say that I don't care about it, but like I don't think about that kind of stuff.
It's not our
But
focus, right?
it's not our
It's our,
focus.
again, we work all across the business, but that's the finance team's focus. That's the marketing
That's
team's
right.
focus. Yeah.
That's right. So back on track, DEF CON had high-end estimates are about 30,000 people, so a little bit more than DEF CON, or sorry, a little bit more than Black Hat. I mentioned that the DARPA held their AI challenge competition, which if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, DARPA has had a pretty big presence in DEF CON for quite some time.
And DARPA has
That
this presence where whatever the emerging tech is, they usually will have some type of competition because
that's right.
they're they are out there awarding dollars to potential startups, right? That are
Yes,
emerging in the space. So whatever's emerging, they are looking to help
absolutely.
fund some of those solutions. In many cases, to like say, well, hey, how can we help the government or bring it back to the public sector, but
Yep.
the greater good.
So just a little bit on this DARPA AI cyber challenge. So the whole premise of this thing is that you build an AI system to automatically find and patch vulnerabilities. There's no human intervention. This competition has been going for 2 years. And I don't mean like multiple rounds, like this specific competition has been running for 2 years. They announced all the semifinalists last year at DEF CON, and then this year they announced the winners. A team from Atlanta, which is kind of a misnomer because it's actually folks from all over the world, I believe, and even some folks from Samsung, folks from Georgia Institute of Technology. They won this year. They found out of 70, this is so cool. Out of 70 synthetic vulns that were implanted into the system, they found 54 of them. Remember, with AI, not
Which is
human
really cool.
intervention.
I have had colleagues and friends who said, let's test AI, like internal developers, internal AppSec, ProdSec type folks say, let's test our ability to use AI tools to find vulnerabilities in first party code. And they'll come out and say, it's not ready yet, or at least these tools aren't ready, or we don't know enough to get us to that point where we're
Right.
seeing a 60 to 80% fail rate, which is worse off than what a manual human would do. So
Well, it's
interesting to
like the
hear
whole
these numbers.
it's like John Henry versus the steam locomotive or whatever that was, it's not that anymore because we're actually seeing that AI, this is one of the greatest uses of AI in security, in my opinion, is finding exploitable vulnerabilities quickly and then patching them. So here's the really cool part. So they found 54 out of 70 synthetic vulnerabilities. They're able to patch 43, but they also discovered 18 previously unknown vulnerabilities. These were not vulnerabilities that were injected into this on purpose. They were 0 days that
The
they
AI
found.
was finding 0 days.
Yes,
Hey,
vulnerabilities that were not in scope. I mean, I guess anything was in scope, but not intentionally placed there. If you're familiar with offensive security testing, there's the concept of an intentionally vulnerable system. These were not intentionally vulnerable. So pretty cool, again, to find these. And here's the real stark stat that's going to blow your mind. The average remediation time for these vulnerabilities was 45 minutes.
wow.
So, and again, I'm not an expert in this space, but finding them, great results, but the remediation of those vulns, just to have that concept of automated remediation and have that done in 45 minutes, as you know, and I know, having to convince other departments in a or organization to fix these vulnerabilities we find, a 45-minute average resolution time would be like, that'd be too good. That'd be like gold for years.
Do we know who the name of the winner is? Is there organization name?
Team Atlanta is the name of the organization. Let's see. I did have some specific intel on that because I was reading a report on it. See if I can bring that up real quick, and I can tell you some detail on Team Atlanta. So Team Atlanta were come on, where is it? Here we go. So Team Atlanta, yeah, some folks from Georgia Tech, some folks from Samsung. Um, kind of stalling here on the.
That's all right. I'm going to put a link to because I just found them here, like their site basically living on GitHub right now. Interesting when you say Georgia Tech, it's pretty common that when I hear a research team and then I hear members of Georgia Tech as part of that research team,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not the first, second, or third time I've heard that. Georgia Tech,
Well,
there's a lot of great folks, technical researchers, security researchers come out of Georgia Tech and really help evolve the world.
here we go. Just to give credit where credit's due, Georgia Tech, Samsung Research, the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, and the Pohang University of Science and Technology. So again, a global effort. And if you're wondering why Georgia Tech has so many good code breakers, you should look and see what military bases are in Georgia. That'll give you a good indication of probably why they're so good.
I'll put a link. I'll put a link to this so we can all read a little bit more in the show
Absolutely.
notes. So really interesting. I wasn't aware of this. I hadn't heard about this before we started talking, so that's why I don't have a lot of detail on it. But it's going to make me go spend
Super
some time
cool.
and learn a little bit more about Team Atlanta.
On a personal note, I got on the DEF CON soundtrack again for the third year in a row. I'm very, very proud of that accomplishment.
Is that something our listeners can get their hands on?
Absolutely. So if you go to Bandcamp and search for DEF CON Communications, you can download the album. I believe it's free or however much you want to donate. So if you want to donate $1, I do not get any of that money. All of that money goes to the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a great cause that is fighting for our digital privacy, especially when we are in a country subject to a regime that is not going to be sensitive to our privacy needs. So now is the time to donate to the EFF.
Is this the
And if you,
first time you got on the soundtrack?
this is the third time in a row that I've gotten on the
All
soundtrack.
right. So friends, if you're wondering, we've talked about this on the show before. Both Garrett and I make music for
Yes,
fun.
we yes we do.
we say it's a hobby. It's far from a hobby. Go check out the DEF CON soundtrack on Bandcamp. Give the last 3 years of soundtracks a listen. Find Garrett's song. Garrett, is it under Garrett Gross or is it under a different artist name?
It's under Dutch Angles, which is
Dutch
the
Angles.
artist that I write music under. So
go
definitely check that
go
out.
check out the Dutch Angles track on the last 3, and then
That's it.
While you're there, knowing that all funds go to the EFF, which are go search for the EFF if you're not familiar, but you should be familiar. The EFF helps fund lawsuits against security researchers. It helps further the cause from a cybersecurity research perspective and security as a whole. So go support EFF. It's a nonprofit foundation. Go into Bandcamp and donate $20 and download the soundtrack.
Just a quick correction. They help fund the defense of security researchers when they're getting sued. They also help fund investigating, the NSA when they're overreaching in the Patriot Act and things of that nature. Yeah. So definitely
go listen to the Dutch Angles tracks and then support it by giving the EFF a few bucks by downloading the album on Bandcamp. Very cool.
That's right. Moving on, there are other areas of DEF CON that you may not know about. One of them is the villages area, and I kind of alluded to it. That's where we're going to find the packet hacking village, the wireless village, the car hacking village, the aviation hacking village, the maritime hacking village. All of these are focused areas within DEF CON where you can go learn about a new area. I mean, we may or may not learn some tradecraft there, but you'll definitely learn about the space. Like, I knew nothing about autonomous maritime vehicles, but apparently they're just, like UAVs on the water or drones on the water. So it was pretty cool. They actually had they had 2 of them actually out there showing us what these things look like. So it's pretty cool. I participated in one of the villages, which actually we didn't have a village spot this year, but I was part of the hard hat brigade this year, and I built a hard hat that it's not in there now, but here's the computer. The computer would go inside there somewhere. My beautiful mounting screws, definitely not a professional maker, but I got it done. But that helmet was running a Raspberry Pi 5 with Kismet, which is a wireless scanning application, and scanning for vulnerable Wi-Fi networks and then displaying the results of the scans on that screen up front. So I'm walking around, I'm showing everyone their vulnerable Wi-Fi, their devices that are connecting to this vulnerable Wi-Fi, but directly related to my shirt, this was a reason to get people to come up to me and talk to me about wireless security and why that's important. Now, I do work for a company that provides access control solutions. This was not a way for me to shill for my company, but it absolutely was a way for me to shill for the industry that my company supports. Because again, I still feel very strongly about wired and wireless security. I think it's something that doesn't get a lot of press. So this was my way of walking. Because let me show you real quick. I look ridiculous. Put this thing on my head. I'm walking around DEF CON like this, got a big antenna on the back. I had a big battery pack right here. People were coming up to me left and right, like, what is your problem?
Well, it looks like a next generation Ghostbusters uniform of some sort.
It did. Well, and then I've got this silly shirt and matching shorts on. I've got this pink badge as opposed to I think there were green badges this year. So I stood out like a sore thumb. It was great. I had a lot of great conversations, and I got to educate people on wired and wireless security and kind of talk about that. So it was very, very cool.
That's amazing. I'll post a photo here so folks can see
yes, please.
your amazing getup, and like it really shows that when we talk about Garrett's a hacker. Like, I mean, look at this device, this contraption you put together, and also an artist at the same time, right? And I'm not even talking about the music that we talked about a couple minutes ago. I mean, like the artist that created that whole getup with the helmet and all the pieces. Like there's art and hacking all in one.
Yeah, I'm just a living, breathing, walking piece of art, Sean. What can I say?
That's where you were at DEF CON. There's no doubt about it.
A couple other, or another village I want to call it the bug bounty village. So bug bounties. These are when companies put their product or their infrastructure out there to the open to let pen testers go and try to find vulnerabilities in their solutions in their environments, and then send them, responsibly disclose the results of those findings or those penetration tests to receive a bounty, usually some money, maybe some other forms of payment, something like that. But there is now a whole industry around bug bounties. I mean, there are companies like HackerOne, what's the other one? Bug Crowd. They help companies develop bug bounty programs. And to that end, one of my dear friends, a guy named Arson, released his bug bounty framework at the Bug Bounty Village, and it is a free open source framework. It's called Arson, ARS0N, because of course you got to have, some leet speak in there to be a true hacker. But it is an open source bug bounty framework that you can go and download and use today. And the best part about it is this guy has hundreds of hours of tutorials on YouTube on how to do bug bounties and how to use his framework. He truly is one of the ones out there that is walking the walk and talking the
Hmm.
talk. He is out there putting out free information for everyone to go out there and make money and get better at their craft.
Amazing. Go check it out. That's cool.
Yep, definitely. Last piece, the contests. Contests are always a big piece of DEF CON. It's something that I participate in every year. And not XOR, who is a badge making group. They always have a little contest built into their badge. You usually have to address it with a serial port, and there's going to be like a little mud in there, a little role playing game. Sometimes there are physical hacks. And actually, let me do a callback real quick to this badge. So this badge was both a great and terrible idea. So this badge, what it does is it flips out into different colored lenses, and then the artwork around the conference would respond to these different colored lenses and show you secret messages all around the con. The bad part about this is that it was held together with this little crappy screw, and everyone's badges were falling apart left and right, just like exploding on the ground every once in a while.
It's
Okay.
amazing.
There was the scavenger hunt, which is DEF CON's longest scavenger competition. It's run by some friends of mine. That was a huge hit this year. And then one of the coolest ones was Hackman, which is a Pac-Man like game that had hacker trivia and had hack challenges. And that actually was a black badge competition this year. And it was won by another very good friend of mine, who shall remain nameless because that's how we roll here. But again, contests, great chance to go and have fun, hone your hacking skills, learn some new things. Just a fun time all around.
Nice.
Last couple things I want to get into real quick. Like I alluded, we had a very large vendor area this year. Sean, is that good or bad? Is that good or bad to have a bunch of very effective hacking tools out for anyone to purchase and use, locksmith tools, things of that nature? What's your thought?
Well, I mean, I'm a fan of having all of them. I'm a
Of
fan of
course.
getting my hands on them. And honestly, I think it's great, right? We should all learn how to act like the bad guy, right? We should all learn how to act like an adversary so we can help defend ourselves, defend our friends and family, defend our businesses.
Yep. Because there are those out there that believe that things like the Flipper Zero, lockpick tools, things like that should be illegal, which makes no sense to me. I'm not going to get into an ideological discussion, but when you can go buy an assault rifle from Walmart, but you're going to tell me that I can't buy a pen test tool
Yeah,
or a
like there's been
lockpick?
organizations who've been trying to shut down the existence of Metasploit, right? The existence of the tool, which is designed for internal pen testers to be able to go do research and pen test their environments, because the argument is, oh, a bad guy can get a handle on Metasploit and then
That's right.
go wreak havoc.
Well, guess what? Much like the Streisand effect, that type of suppression only makes people want to develop those things more often. Metasploit is never going to go away. It's a huge ecosystem. The Flipper Zero will never go away. In fact, there are now competitors to the Flipper Zero out there. Hack 5, everyone's favorite, the Wi-Fi Pineapple folks, they made a pager this year. It looks like Zero Cool's pager. Of course, I ordered one.
Mm-hmm.
But it is another handheld form factor, like wireless hacking device that, again, I agree with you. Yes, these tools will get in the hands of bad guys, but it's good that we know about them so that we can prevent any of the types of attacks that they, use those tools
And these
for.
have existed for years. I think about Pony Express. They had like the Pwn plug a bunch
The
of years
Pwn
back.
phone and the
Yeah, the
Pwn
Pwn
plug,
phone. Yeah,
yes. I actually ran into the CEO or the old CEO of Pony Express.
nice.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is, I don't want to talk about a lot of the talks that I saw at DEF CON because it's just that's the way it is. You need to, well, a lot of them are going to be on YouTube, so search for DEF CON. You can see them on YouTube, but that's part of the fun is going to see those talks. But the one that I will call out is that there was a guy from South by Southwest, which is the big music. Well, it's not even a conference anymore. It's a music festival
Right.
here
I
in
think about it as
town.
a big music festival. All the big artists perform over a few days.
It's not what it used to be, but that's another time for me to be a Austin curmudgeon and say, "Oh, it used to be cool 20 years ago." Um, a guy from South by Southwest who is in charge of making, well, he's not in charge of, but he's part of the badge making team for South by Southwest. He gave a talk on how to spoof badges, and it was awesome. Like he didn't hold back. That's something that I may or may not have experience with in the past, and so I was heavily engrossed and actually reached out to him after the fact and was like, "Hey, so I have a certain set of skills. Is there any way I could help out?" And him and I are connected, and so
That's great.
we're gonna start working on some new exploits and stuff for badge hacking, and
Fun.
not the badge hacking that we're talking about. We're talking about like conference, reproduction and things like that.
Very
So
fun. Very fun.
all in all, a great time. I learned so much. I saw so many of my friends and peers. I got everything out of it that I wanted. The only thing that I didn't have enough time or enough of was time, which is always the great limiter in things like this.
Yeah,
There is
it's a
no
big
way.
challenge of this. That's why we Hacker Summer Camp is the name that it's been called, because there's just so many different things going on. And like when you go to a camp, you got to choose which events do you want to go to and which ones do you miss. And this is a reality of Vegas in late July, early August.
That's right. That's right.
Very
Cool.
nice. Yeah. So quick
That's what I got.
recap. Quick recap of the key things that we get into. BSides, right? It's a smaller event of the three. Some talks for more up and coming talks happen there. So it's really an intimate event. BlackHat is the big business event of them all, with lots of things, lots of training, huge conference track, massive vendor hall, which was really the initial focus of it. Tons of networking, tons of official and unofficial parties. DEF CON is the OG of them all. The HackerCon from back in the day, which has continued to evolve and honestly continues to grow. It's not as if there's too many. Garrett has talked about on other shows the other side conferences that occurred during this.
Yes.
Plenty of those, but it's a great week. If you've never been to Hacker Summer Camp, you should go next year. If you've been, you probably go on the regular, because there's so much you can get out of a few days in Vegas with your other cybersecurity pros.
And if you need justification to your boss as to why they should send you to Hacker Summer Camp, reach out to me directly. I will help you out with that. And it's not some sneaky BS trick I have. I just am very passionate about this is where you need to go to learn more about your job. You will come back a better employee.
Nice.
Guarantee it. Hey, viewers and listeners, you asked, we delivered. Introducing the official Cybersecurity Growth merch store, packed with awesome gear inspired by you. From our sleek CSG logo polos to our fan favorite CISO career is soon over tie-dye tees, there's something for everyone. Grab yours today and show your cybersecurity pride with a touch of humor. Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com and click on store, because cybersecurity can be cool and even a little funny. Did it really?
Oh yeah, okay, we're back. All right, we are wrapping up here. What a great show! Next show that we are preparing may have talks around different animals and critters that are in the threat actor space, such as spiders and bears and pandas and other interesting things. So maybe kittens, who knows? But stand by. We're working on our next show where we're talking about threat actor names. We'll probably do a show. I've been prepping a show around the world of burnout in our industry. So I've got some notes that I'm putting together that we can work on. And we got
That's a real thing.
a bunch more in the works. It looks like I might be prepping a show around the world of CMMC, something I'm learning that I think might be interesting for those of us in the Fed compliance space. We're going to do a little bit of show on that. So lots more in the works.
Love that.
Yeah, hopefully we will get to back to our regularly scheduled program. I want to thank everyone for listening, for watching, for those of you who tuned in live while we recorded this. If your company would like to become a sponsor of the Cybersecurity Growth show, reach out to us at sales@cybersecuritygrowth.com. I am Sean Valley, the creator of the show and the music here on Cybersecurity Growth. You can visit us at cybersecuritygrowth.com and get all of the shows at cybersecuritygrowth.com/webcasts. You can find us on all the socials at Cybersecurity Growth. We're most active on LinkedIn and TikTok. And if you like the show, please tell your friends. If you hate it, please tell all your adversaries. Please like, subscribe, and leave 5 stars. And leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Say something like, great show. I learned about Hacker Summer Camp and what I'm going to do next July in Las Vegas. Garrett, you don't do much of the socials, so curious where people can find you.
Oh man, I'm gonna be around war driving in your neighborhoods looking for your vulnerable Wi-Fi signals, and definitely not running AirCrack as a personal POC.
Just picture, if you look out your window and you see like a Prius driving by with a dude with a helmet and an antenna on it, you might want to be on the lookout.
That's right. Call the authorities.
Unplug all of your network devices if you see that.
That's right. Wrap everything you have in tinfoil because I'm here.
Today we covered Hacker Summer Camp 2025. Garrett, thanks for the recap. Thanks for getting us deep into it. I appreciate that you were there representing us. And thanks for all your knowledge and wisdom and all the things you brought back.
My pleasure.
So we are live on the Cybersecurity Growth platform every other week. Usually we're live on Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, and 6:30 p.m. GMT, and in your pod feeds a few days later. Appreciate you all hanging out with us, and we'll hope to see you on the next show. See you, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Take care.